Hello, beautiful souls. Today I'm super excited. I have Peter from Blue Sky Hypnosis. Hi, Peter.
Hello.
Awesome. So, Peter is a certified hypnotherapist and life coach whose healing journey began after a leukemia diagnosis in 2006. So, the turning point led you to explore the powerful connection between mind, body, and spirit. So, wow. I mean, you've been doing this for a while as well, Peter. So I'm always impressed by people that can do this for a long time and not go crazy
Yeah, that's
when the
true.
rest
Yeah.
when the rest of the world, no, well, not the rest of the world, but a lot of the world doesn't understand. But they're starting to. So yeah, welcome. It's so nice to have you here. So you are, yeah, hypnotherapist. I find this fascinating. So you have clients, like a lot of clients who you resolve root cause trauma using is it havening?
Evening, yeah. That's one of the tools that I use.
Yeah, and you
It's
use,
kind of like it's kind of like
sorry.
EMDR. It's kind of
Oh,
like EMDR. You know the way that the eyes and the brain are connected, and that you can process trauma using that. It doesn't work for everything, and sometimes it's really good as a first step, and then I come in with maybe hypnotic regression and doing spiritual work. But it's definitely an important tool in the toolbox for helping people.
that's interesting. I haven't actually heard of that one. I always love it when I haven't heard of something, but it's always nice
Yeah,
to learn
yeah.
something new because you do the yeah, so the past life regressions
Mhm.
as well. And then you've got YouTube over 130,000 subscribers, 17 million views where you share tools for emotional healing and personal breakthrough. And I actually was watching your trailer on your YouTube and I thought, wow,
Mhm.
like it was 8 years ago, your trailer, and it was so relevant. I was like, yes, it was talking about consciousness and how you're not, you're not really the body, but it was, yeah, it was just perfect. I was like, oh, yes, this is my vibe.
Every time I think about changing the trailer, I just look at it and I
Mm.
think, no, I think I'm going to leave it because as you saw on the trailer, there's a piece on there about the illusion to being an actor. You know, that we in these physical bodies and with these personas are really like actors. Shakespeare said that all the world's a stage, all the men and women are merely players. And I really believe that to be true. And I believe it is true, like Michael Newton said in his Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls, that we travel in these little pods of other souls. And like actors in a repertory company, we take on different roles for each lifetime that are designed to help each member of the pod, if you will, learn whatever lesson they're supposed to learn in that lifetime. And that's deeply calming to me in my life when I remember, hey, this is just one of many plays that you've been in. And there's ups and downs and there's thrills and chills. And you can not take yourself so seriously. You can back off a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. My guides always show me we're actors, like actors in a play we are the script writers as well. I think we forget that we're the script writers. We're not just the actors. We're, directors, producers. And they also show me it's like a game, like a advanced PlayStation game where you're like the virtual reality headset is our body. Our
Hmm.
body
Hmm.
is like the virtual reality headset where we
Yep.
put on this, it's a ego personality construct for Earth, for the Earth game. So we have this avatar body, just like being an actor. But then we kind of forget that we are the consciousness behind the actor. We are the player behind that avatar in the game. But before we come in, we choose our avatar, or we choose our who is the personality of the actor, you know, what is the actor all about? What do they feel? What do they look like? It's fascinating. And so we just
It
start to
is.
create more and more of it, and then obviously society, culture, religion, spiritual stuff like, parents, education, it all adds to who we are in the story or who we are in the play or who we are in the game. So, yeah, fascinating.
And it's one of the things that I return to with clients when they are afraid of doing past life regression. So the thing that people tend to be the most afraid of is that they will find out that they did something heinous in a past lifetime. And it's like the ego in the present life can't handle that. And so I explain to them, if you think about actors, no one gets mad at actors like when they have their eulogy when they die. I'm thinking of Alan Rickman. So he's the pretty famous actor, and he was in the Die Hard movies. And no one said when Alan Rickman died, "Oh, I'm so glad he's dead. He was a horrible man. Did you see what he did to Bruce Willis in that first Die Hard movie?" No one says that, because each role informs the actor. It doesn't define them. And it's the same with multiple lifetimes. Each lifetime informs us. It doesn't define what our eternal soul is.
Yeah, I love that, because there's some days where I kind of, I'll start to find myself getting a little bit frustrated at the world, or, a little bit like, oh, what are these people doing? And then my guides always show me, like, I've got one of my boys loves gaming, and he's gaming and he's playing these horrible horrible games where they've just got guns and they're going around killing everybody, and I'm just I'm horrified. And the guides say, okay, so he's shooting these people in a game, but your child is really kind, really caring, really loving, and he's just playing the game. And when he steps off his computer and he comes back to this reality, all is well. He's not injured. He's not, dead from these guns in the game. It's just a game. It's just an illusion. It's just an experience. It's just a momentary, experience again. So it sounds very, it's the same thing you're talking about. Totally agree. And thank goodness for that. That it
Yes.
is like
And I'd like to comment on what my guides told me after I was really frustrated, and this would have been about maybe 7 years ago. In meditation, I was complaining. I was saying, why is the earth this way? And I was really upset, and I was using expletives. And the immediate answer was, A, you chose to be here. B, when you choose to go to movies and watch TV shows and read novels, they always involve conflict. You stand in line for it. You pay for it. So don't come complaining to us. And it was just like an instant answers. And I just felt like, well, that's all true. You're right. It just felt like it totally shut me down. Like, okay, you're right. I have to change my attitude.
Yeah, so true. The guides always showed me that when I start to get annoyed at something, they'll show me that I do it too. Like if I get frustrated at something, you can't create, you can't stop war if you don't have peace within you. We're doing all these things. We're getting angry and frustrated at the people that are angry and frustrated. So it's just this cycle that goes around and around. So I definitely believe that we volunteered to come here. But I was talking to somebody the other day about now, say you go on to another lifetime. Are we so used to the drama now of Earth? Are we really addicted now to this speedy, crazy, chaotic world? It'd be interesting now. I'm sure we've already chosen our next lives, but something to think about.
Well, and I would take that same concept back to the computer games that your son is playing. So when I was playing, I remember this one game I was playing called Tanky, and every time, you ultimately lose because there's tens of thousands of players, and there's always going to be someone who's faster. There's always going to be somebody who's smarter, better at it than you are. And yet after each time when I lost, I'd think, okay, I'd take a day or two and think, all right, maybe if I did it this way and that way next time, then I could win. And I would go in, start off, everything's great, and then lose again. And to me, this was an example of the wheel of karma. Where you die, you ascend, whatever happens, and you have an awareness that you didn't have when you were in your physical body. You think, if only I had remembered this, if I only I had done this way or that way, just like that computer game. And yet, ultimately, what happened to me in the computer game, and I think happens to all of us, is like, I don't want to do this anymore. Winning isn't even important to me. I'm tired of the struggle. And that's, I think, when we finally decide to step off the wheel of karma and say, there's a better way. I don't need to do it this way anymore.
Yeah, totally. I feel like that is happening at the moment. That's why we are seeing so much darkness, because we're bringing in so much light, and we're kind of sick of playing the game. So now the game of suffering, now it's all coming out to be seen, to observe, and to say, hey, we kind of don't really want to play this game anymore. We want to play more of a game of thriving and more excitement and more abundance and more wellness. And we're just shifting our perspective and perception now. So it is an exciting time, even though it feels really chaotic. But I always tell people to be in that, the eye of the storm, when the storm is just, but the eye of the storm is the calm place to be. So it's about being that observer and kind of living in that neutrality state, that quantum 0 point field of energy, where you're just kind of, you're the observer and all is well. Like, it's not, that's what the expanded consciousness doesn't have judgment. It's not good. It's not good. It's not bad. It's an experience. So, I think we're being shown everything now so that we can see what we like, what we don't like, and then, where we want to go. But yeah, it's blowing my mind how many people are waking up. So it's super exciting to have people like you that are established and already have that foundation, so that you can support them on their journey. Because, you were saying people were, some people are afraid of past lives, and I totally understand that. And I feel like people are getting a little bit more curious, a little bit more confident, a little bit more aware now. And there's more kind of intrigue and excitement about all of this stuff now. And then if we did have a past life that we weren't really happy with, we can now, heal, forgive, realize our worthiness, realize that, we are just the actors in this play. So yeah, no, it's exciting time for sure. How do you feel
It
about
is.
it all?
Yeah, and I mean, the way I see it is that confidence in the what's become very rigid structures of how the world and individual governments are run is beginning to crumble, specifically because the facade that we had a very difficult time seeing through or around is itself, it's now permeable. And maybe it's because we have a much better ability to communicate with each other. When I was a kid growing up, there were something like 7 television channels. That was it. And television went off at midnight during the week, and maybe on the weekends it went off at like 1:30 in the morning. That was it, just a test pattern. Like, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have all this stuff. We didn't have the internet that has given us this incredible ability to communicate. Like, you and I would never, ever have been able to ever meet each other or talk to each other or share ideas or anything. And I think as this is happening, the old system is really starting to rupture and crumble, and the cracks are appearing in it. It's almost like a dam that's starting to break, and different holes and water's pouring through, and the people in control are sticking their finger metaphorically into these holes, but more holes crack open. And I think with it, people are losing their kind of what might have been before an almost like blind faith in what they were being told, what they had learned from the time they were in little children in school with the pledges of allegiance, and this is how our government works, and you have a voice and all this other stuff. And because of that, they are looking at other realms, other possibilities. And that's why the work we're doing, I think, is perhaps starting to make more sense for people that previously might have just rejected it out of hand.
Yeah, definitely. The guides always show me. So it's like we've been wearing a raincoat, and we haven't been able to feel, kind of that higher realms, higher frequency, feeling guides, feeling other beings. We haven't really been able to feel them, but they've always been here. It's like having
Yep.
a really thick raincoat, but it's still, the rain's still there, but you're not getting wet. And that's what they were saying. And now that raincoat, like people would call the veil, it's thinning. And now we can start to feel the higher realms, higher frequencies, guides. So yeah, we're opening up to so many opportunities that we didn't realize were here before. So it's really nice that having people like you that understand that yes, there is more out there, and that no, it's not just this lifetime. There are eternal lifetimes for us to experience. And I also want people to know that this lifetime is really important as well. Some people want to just kind of sit and hide and get through it, and I totally understand. You just survival consciousness is can be a challenge, but I think it's really time for us to shine. That's what I keep getting from the guides. We're all here. We're a beacon of light. And it is our time to shine. It's more about getting out of survival and starting to thrive, and just showing everybody that we can thrive and that everyone's worthy. And I suppose a lot of people have had those past life, parallel life experiences where maybe they didn't feel worthy and they still feel guilty about it. Or they just, didn't have a fun, happy life. So maybe they're still stuck in that energy. So I love what you're doing. Maybe, do you just kind of even just observe the life, and that just release it? How does that kind of the past life regression work?
Well, for me, it's the same whether you do past life, present life, or spiritual regression. And I think you termed it correctly that it's all parallel, because quantum physics tells us everything is happening simultaneously. But for our human brain to understand it, it's helpful to think in past, present, and in spiritual. And where we tend to go off the rails is when there's some kind of a trauma. And when we are hurt or when we hurt others, it's always in relationship. And therefore, the solution for me isn't simply to just observe it. Like that's okay. That's like when I was a firefighter EMT and they taught us step one is to do a rapid assessment. If it's a fire scene, you do a 360 around it and just see what's going on from every angle. If it's a person, you do a rapid assessment of their body, the front and the back, the top and the bottom, to make sure before you do anything. But then you have to take a second step, which is you've got to do something about it. Now you've got to take some action. And I think it's the same way with healing things that are going on for people psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, that you need to pinpoint what this is connected to, what the symptom is connected to. But then you need to do something about it. And so with something like a past life, let's say, it's always going to come down ultimately to forgiveness. And there's three kinds. You can forgive other people for what they've done to you. You can be forgiven for what you've done to other people, and then you can forgive yourself. And if you don't, then you are essentially handcuffed through pain to these other people. And this is all back to that concept of actors. This is all part of a drama. And one of the ways that I can help people forgive somebody that they're like, I'm not forgiving them, is just have them ask their guide, not me. Ask your guide, have you ever been forgiven for something that was this bad or worse? I know what the answer is going to be. It's going to be yes, because you've lived so many lifetimes. Of course you've done something. Of course you as the actor don't always play the good guy. Sometimes you play the villain. Sometimes you play a little small part. Sometimes you're the funny friend on the side. And when people get that perspective, then yes, they are willing to forgive that person, release the emotional pain of the handcuffs, and now they're free, along with the other person's free too. So that's the kind of thing that is kind of the sine qua non. That is the ultimate moment of doing this work. Just to visit a past lifetime, yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. But the real transformative part of it comes in forgiveness.
Yeah, I love that, because it's really good to go back to that deeper layer, and that kind of collapses quantum time as well, going back
Yes.
to that, what we call past, even though there is no time, there's only clocks. But yeah, I feel like going back further, kind of collapses all the times where that forgiveness like could have just been last week, and then it could have been 5 years ago, it could have been 10 years ago, but you're going back to more of that deeper layer, in another lifetime, and yeah, kind of collapsing that quantum time, which kind of heals all of it. And
Yep.
yeah, I did a modality, it was compassion keys, and it was all about compassion, just giving yourself the compassion that you deserve. And it's, so similar to forgiveness, because sometimes we just have this guilty feeling, and it's not worth it. It doesn't help anybody, but it is really hard to collapse that feeling sometimes. So yeah, I think that's super valuable for sure, what you're doing. So your healing journey, you said, began when you had leukemia 2003. So that was like a wake up call for you. That was a while ago, which is amazing that you have, continued this journey, because it has been, obviously, I feel like your guides have been showing me what you've been doing, and you've been helping so many people, and there's that ripple effect. And, like, yeah, 2003, you had that it's like a master root cause healing. So did you feel like you did that? Did you do that yourself, or did you have like a mentor, or somebody that kind of showed you or taught you?
It were definitely teachers,
Yeah.
including ultimately a bunch of events that occurred over a long period of time. It could have been 2 years or something, all crystallized in the same moment. It all came together. And that's when I realized I needed to be trained as a hypnotherapist, and I needed to go to that particular school in Santa Fe, New Mexico, that was started by a former paramedic. At the time, I was identifying with being a first responder. And at that school, there were multiple teachers. We chose one of them to be our hypnotherapist. I did so much deep work with that person. We worked with each other. We worked outside of school. There was another student there who became kind of a mentor to me, even though he was another student. He was just maybe 10 years older. It looked like he looked and sounded like he stepped right out of my family. And he had a way about him that I felt like I learned so much from him, just by watching him, just by listening to him, just by talking to him. I had a naturopathic physician that was also a mentor, and felt like I learned so much from her as well. So yeah, I'd say it was definitely teachers.
Yeah, we're always a student, aren't we?
We are.
For
I think we're
sure.
always a student, and we're always a teacher. Like we breathe. We breathe in, we breathe out. We are learning, and then we are sharing. We're learning and we're sharing. We're learning and we're sharing.
Definitely. Yeah. So your trailer, you were talking about consciousness. I loved how you were talking about it, kind of defining the connection between mind, body, spirit. Yeah. So how can we create, I don't know, how do you feel like you create that connection? Or is it just like a knowing that you have now, that you are consciousness, and like you're saying, you are the actor? Like it's like you've created this body, this avatar, this, some people call it a meat suit, which is probably not the best, a meat suit, or a space suit for Earth.
Yeah. Well, people talk about awakening as a gradual, maybe for some people it all happens in an instant, but a remembering of who you are. And we have so many aids, so many teachers on this plane in this life. I was an actor for 10 years. And so I know what it's like to take on the persona of someone that I'm not, and still to bring part of me to it. So it'd be like the soul bringing part of the eternal me to this character I am now. I know what that's like. And I know how deeply invested an actor can get into a particular role. I know what that's like. And I also know what it's like to step away from it. You know, it comes to an end, the people clap, you take off your costume and your makeup, you say goodbye to your castmates and you walk away. And now you're off to the next one. So there was already an inherent awareness of that. And the luminaries of the theater, you know, Shakespeare, I quoted him before, all the world's a stage, all the men and women are merely players. In Hamlet, there's all of this stuff about actors. There's even a troupe of actors that comes into Elsinore and Hamlet's teaching them how to act. Like, so that part of my life really helped me grasp this, along with philosophy and what I had learned as a kid in Sunday school, the teachings of Jesus. Like, all of this to me suddenly made so much sense, whereas before it all seemed disparate. So yeah, I feel like, again, living in this time and having access to the kind of information that we have, having access to each other, we are so blessed. And I think it's the reason why, along with the crumbling of these formerly powerful edifices, that's helping us advance more rapidly. Oh, and I do think one more thing, I'd love to hear your thought on this, but this concept of the great year, you're probably aware of this 26,000 year cycle, which pertains to the orbit of our sun and Sirius. And it's broken up into 12 houses, just like the signs of the zodiac. And each house is like 2,300 years or something. And each one is called an age. And the idea is that I understand is that as these stars get closer and closer to each other, human consciousness rises. And that we were at the lowest point of consciousness until something like 2012, the age of Pisces, the age at which Jesus came to kind of remind us of who we are. And I think the whole concept of blocking out the sun and having, you know, putting chemicals on your body to protect yourself and wearing hats and sunglasses and everything is to prevent you ultimately from getting upgrades like your computer gets upgrades by the sun. And I think that it's inevitable that human consciousness is going to rise because every single moment these stars get closer to each other, and we will ultimately enter into a golden age.
Yeah, the guides have shown me that definitely. It's a cycle for sure, and it is the great awakening where we're kind of unstoppable, really. But they are still showing me the two parallel kind of Earths, even though there's not just two. There's unlimited Earths or unlimited ways that you can go. I see it all as pixels, and you're just choosing your little movie scene, your film strip, and you're choosing your own adventure. You're choosing your own, you're writing your own script. But at the same time, there's two main timelines where there's the lower vibrational Earth and then the higher vibrational Earth. And so the Great Awakening is still happening, the ascension, but then there is still the lower vibrational where there's a lot of souls that still want to play the game of that, what we might call the third dimension, or just a denser, heavier energy. Some are still playing that, but there is a cycle. So everybody, Source shows me there is a reset. And when you hear reset, you freak out and you think, oh my gosh, we're going to be reset again. Like you hear about the great floods and, you know, like Atlantis, Lemuria, all of those kind of disappearing. But what Source shows me is there's a reset of everybody returning to Source, everybody remembering who they are again. So everyone remembers their eternal, their wellness. They remember how incredible they are. They lose all that, you know, they don't need to forgive anymore. There's no judgment anymore. Everybody remembers. There's a big celebration, and it all happens at the same time because there's no clock. There's no time. There's only clocks. So it's so hard to describe. So the third dimensional people still playing the lower game, and the other ones ascending, will meet and ascend at the same time because that's just that cycle that happens. So yeah, it's really hard to explain it sometimes. They show me in visuals of everything just aligns. It's like we're playing every role, we're playing this movie out, or playing this play out every way possible. We can go a negative route, we can go a positive route, we can go in between, we can go good, bad, light, dark. We're playing it every way we can to see which way it works out. And it doesn't matter if it's bad or if it's good. There's no judgment. It's just all sending data back to our higher selves, data back, to source, to all that is. And we're just, it's just this great game, experiment, play, expansion, evolution. It's just, what else do you do if you're eternal souls? So, yeah, like, how boring would it be if we didn't have these games to play? So, and then there's whole other universes as well, and that's a whole other, a whole other story. This is just a little part of, the Earth game is just, but I have to say the Earth game is pretty popular in this universe, in our local universe, and in other universes. A lot of individuals are talking about the Earth game right now because we're quite impressive. Apparently, we're very impressive because we've created suffering, we've created lack, we've created limitation, we've created disconnection. The illusion of disconnection. I shouldn't say disconnection. It's not disconnection from our higher selves, from source, from guides, from love, from wellness, from abundance. It's not disconnection. It's the illusion of disconnection. So we've created this incredible game. And you know how a lot of people on Earth love watching reality TV. So this is what a lot of beings, individuals in the universe are watching Earth for. It's like a good reality TV show. They're like, wow, this is exciting. Wow, these guys are crazy, but wow. And they're very proud of us. They're very, very proud of us because it's teaching other beings, other individuals. It's teaching higher collectives. It's teaching them so much. What is true unconditional love? Because we lost that. So because we lost it, now we're starting to discover what true unconditional love is. And we're discovering how incredible we actually are because we've limited ourselves so much. So we've realized how incredible our true selves are. So sorry, waffling on there. Can't help myself.
That's all very interesting, of course. And it's interesting to hear, another person who's doing something similar or tangential talking about things, because sometimes you can get into your own silos. And it's these conversations, I find them really fascinating from so many different perspectives.
Yeah, definitely. So you have your YouTube channel that we were talking about before, and so that's reaching a lot of people. So you've got a lot of a variety on the channel. So do you just kind of pick something that you feel like is in maybe people might need at the moment, or how do you get inspired?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's inspiration. It's people writing in the comments section. It's just waking up one morning and thinking, hey, I think it would be great if we had something on XYZ. Or I might see a number of clients that are dealing with something in particular and think, well, I'd love to have something that I can just send them the link that they can work with when they're not in session with me. So that's how that started to evolve. And now lately I've been doing so many of the podcasts. We were talking about putting together the smaller clips. And that's kind of fun, putting those up as shorts, because I think a lot of people, at least when I'm on YouTube, I don't really want to invest a lot of time in someone that I'm not familiar with. But I would invest, time in a short. And if I watch a couple shorts and like, wow, that's really interesting. That's such an important perspective. Then it's like, all right, what else do they have? What's some longer content that I can dive into? So I've been doing a lot of that lately because of the podcasting.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea because I feel like now it's good to focus on things that bring you a bit more joy as well now. So you can just look at a short clip and go, yeah, this is interesting. What excites me? What am I interested in? What am I passionate about? I'm finding we're being torn at the moment. Some people say when there's more light shining in, then you actually see more darkness as well. So I feel
I
like
think that's
obviously,
true.
yeah, there's a lot of darkness coming up, but we actually have the choice to observe it and not keep going. We don't have to keep going down that rabbit hole of darkness.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
if we see shorts or clips or whatever on, social media, we can kind of choose now. It's like sometimes we get stuck. You can see a little bit of what's happening in your life. If you look at the algorithm, say you're looking on Instagram and you're looking at your Instagram feed, and I mean, probably mine at the moment is all conspiracy. Conspiracy theory. And then you kind of know where you're at. So if it's all crystals, then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in my good vibing crystal day. Or if it's all, it's all conspiracy, I'm in that, oh my gosh, I'm going down the rabbit hole. Or if it's, it might be all, running, or it might be, gym work. You can kind of tell what you're creating,
Sure.
what your reality is. You can check your algorithm and see, oh, this is my reality at the moment. Is this the reality I want to be in? Do I want to be in the crystal conspiracy reality, or should I be observing some other areas? Like, is this actually making me happy or neutral, or is it making me really stressed out, angry, and frustrated? So sometimes we need to take responsibility for what we're watching and what we're focusing on, especially at the moment, being bombarded. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I also think there's another piece in there, which is how is it being processed by you? What is coming out of it? So I'm with you in terms of the conspiracy thing, and I have been for decades. I love it because I feel like truth is so important to me. I want to know what is behind the curtain. I want to understand because I feel like once we understand what's at the root, now we don't have to suffer the symptoms anymore. Now we have a chance of altering what's really causing it. In other words, you can't just create another government agency to solve a problem. That doesn't work. That's just chasing symptoms around. But if you can understand what the deeper forces are that are at work, now it brings a kind of peace to me, number one. And I also believe that once that gets more and more exposed and people say, yeah, I don't want that you have a chance of real change. The other thing is that if these stories that we've been fed are false or fake, and I think most of them are, it helps me to understand about what is real. All the things that have been denigrated, like the work that you do, for example. Oh, that's woo-woo, that's silly, that's foolish, she's an idiot, don't listen to her, she doesn't know what she's talking about, she's making it up, it's all in my imagination, blah, 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 blah. No, it isn't. The stuff that you have and I have thought was rock solid is all crumbling. And the stuff that has, they say that there's like 3 phases to a new idea. And the first phase is ridicule. We've been dealing with this for a while. The second phase is vehemently denouncing it and opposing it. And the third phase is to accept it as conventional wisdom.
Yeah, I love how you said that because I heard someone say that the other day. Yeah.
We're in the midst of this. We are in the midst of this. I saw a statistic, I think it was probably last year, that in the last 5 or 6 years since the time of COVID, at least in the United States, that trust in allopathic medical personnel has gone from 70% to 40%. That's amazing. And where are those people going to turn? That's really interesting. I find that really hopeful. And I'm not saying that allopathic physicians have no place. I think they do, especially when somebody has cut themselves or they've fallen out of a tree or they've broken a bone. You know, there's a wing of that practice that's really, really useful, very effective. But then the other wing, like chronic diseases, they just get worse and worse and worse. You know, like they don't even seem to be pretending to cure anybody anymore of a chronic disease. It's just, you know, now children have it. So that part of it crumbling, I think, is good for all of us. And whatever backdoor deals have been holding it all together. It's something that just came out yesterday. I saw this yesterday, that the CIA learned from the Russians in the 1950s that parasites were the cause of cancer. And they classified that information. They hid it from everyone, which is, by definition, a conspiracy. This is really good. This is coming out. I'm excited about this, along with the other BS they've been telling us, and getting to the bottom of what really is true.
Yeah, I just cannot believe what is coming out. Like it's like a whole new world. I'm like, what? Everybody's talking about this. Like I thought, like some of the stuff I thought nobody's ever going to believe it. Nobody's ever going to see it. I'm going to be the crazy one with a few other crazies, around the planet. But now it is insane. And so many young people as well. That's what surprises me. So many young people, they've come in with higher awareness. A lot of them have come in as a different species, and they're not aligning to the BS. They can see deception. They can see the lies. They can see right through it. It's like they don't have that thick veil, like I was saying, the raincoat, heavy raincoat or 20 raincoats. They don't have the raincoat. And they're coming in going, no, what? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They just don't believe it. And they don't want to be a part of so much of the BS that we put up with. So what an interesting time. I mean, obviously we chose to come here right now, but it's kind of weird when you're born into a reality and then you start to wake up and the reality that you were born into, it doesn't even feel real. It feels false. It feels fake. It feels like the Truman Show. It's kind of like, it's where to next. And the thing is that I'm really enjoying like meeting people like you, and you're kind of like, you're the people that are the where to next for me. I'm like, well, if you need extra support here, I've got this person here, this person does this, and this person does that. And there's so many different avenues that you can go to for support, for help. And also I want to remind everyone, everyone has their own innate wisdom, their own innate healing abilities. We all have healing technology within us. We have guides, we have higher frequencies, love, light, for healing, for freedom, for finance, for everything we need. It's just those blocks and beliefs that have been limiting us, and the loop,
which itself is a conspiracy. Which itself is a conspiracy. To teach children that their ability to speak to deceased relatives, their ability to connect with and speak to their guides, their ability to connect with and speak to ascended masters or God means they're crazy. It's all in your head. It's just a dream. It's only your imagination. How many people have heard those phrases drummed into them? And they learned early on that if they wanted to fit in with their family, if they wanted to fit in with their friends, if they wanted to fit in at school where the teacher says, oh, Johnny, that's not possible. You can't keep talking about that. Get in your box. Get in your box. And we are living through a time when we're starting to break out of that box. But that was constructed on purpose because knowledge is power. And if you want to control other people, it would make sense for you to arrogate, to hold that power to yourself. How do you do that? By pretending, by persuading other people that it's not real, that it's disadvantageous for them to even talk about it, by almost punishing them for it, by kicking them out of the group. That's how you gain power. You also gain power by keeping people frightened, keeping them small, and keeping them divided. And so I think those conspiracies, which have been going on for a long time, are also cracking and starting to fail.
Yeah, I think so many people are having actual experiences now that they can't explain and they can't hide anymore. You know, like I was saying, these new kids that are coming in are so much more intuitive, so much more aware. They'll be so much more connected to higher realms, to guides. They'll be seeing energy more and more. So it's very hard when you really can start to see, feel, and sense. It's very hard to contain more and more souls. So it's a really super exciting time. And the guides keep reminding me that this is a fun adventure for a soul. This is a really fun game to actually have that restriction or have that feeling of being, well, not being crazy, but of like nobody believes me. It's all an experience. So there's nothing bad about it. It teaches us so much. It teaches our higher selves so much. And I'm really realizing how incredible we actually are, because when I tune into it and I merge back into my true self, I feel like a superhero. You know, I feel like I have complete superpowers. I can fly, I can see everything, I can feel everything. I can do anything I want to do. And so to create this limitation and this reality, it really shows the soul of the higher self. It shows how amazing we actually are, because how do you know how amazing you are until you actually do limit yourself and you forget who you are. We're discovering now, it's all unfolding, how incredible we are. So yeah, so super exciting time, I tell you. Woo, yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of paths that all of us can go down. We can choose the negative, but like what you were saying, you love the conspiracies, and so do I. It actually excites me. But it's more about observing it without judgment, because once you start to get really angry and really frustrated, really worried, really scared, really sad, that's when you kind of start, I don't know if you'd call it lowering your frequency, and then you start to attract more of the negative, and you go on that's your negative path. And the universe loves you so much that you're allowed to choose. You're allowed to choose the bad. You're allowed to choose the ugly. You're allowed to choose all of that. But I try to remind myself, I have the choice. So I observe with a neutral state in the quantum 0 point field. I observe it and I'm like, okay, that is really interesting. That's not what I want to be creating from here on in. And so then obviously when you're in true alignment, you don't even need solutions, because it's everything synchronized. It's full synchronicity. Everything just starts to align and starts to work out. So I think we can still observe these. We can still be conspiracy theorists, but we don't have to go down the completely negative route.
It doesn't. As I said, for me, it's actually exciting, because I think it bespeaks of a universe that has been out of our sight. And that's the part that I get really excited about. I mean, even the definition of the word apocalypse, which in the popular imagination, I think, means the end of everything. That's not the actual definition. The actual definition is the great unveiling. It's when the raincoats come off. It's when what has been hiding everything is peeled back. It's when you can see behind the facade of the Hollywood set, the Potemkin village, and see that it's just held up by 2x4s and wire. You know, when you can see how this is just like Truman, like the Truman Show, when he finally understood that this is all just a set. Oh my gosh, which is really the 2,500-year-old allegory of Plato's cave. It's the same story that's been told by very learned people who undoubtedly were able to tap into the truth using their internal senses, and have been telling us this for a long time. So yeah, it is an exciting time to be alive, and we chose it.
Yep, we did. Yeah, I don't know. Some people still don't believe me that we chose it, but I can see it. I see my life, and we're looking at the data, and it's almost like I'm seeing it more like sci-fi when we're choosing our life. It's like those kind of the holographic. It's like a holographic, I don't know what it is, but you're kind of moving everything around. Like, so it's like, okay, I'm going to create this and I'm going to create that, and that could happen and that could happen. But it's like, it's all planned, but it's also about, you can create what you want as well. It's like, it's having that freedom to choose how you feel. And there's many paths that you can go. So if you're not happy with your life now, then shift it. Get out of that one. You know, you can change it. Quantum physics tells us that.
You can. And for the people that hear that and get frustrated or skeptical because maybe they've tried or it just sounds impossible, what I want to say is we're all running on patterns. And the patterns are created by the mental programming. And the programming is largely around ideas, or rather beliefs. And a belief is an idea that gets married to an emotion. And these things are, the negative ones anyway, are generally created around trauma. So trauma is part of your programming. And that you can override it by kind of pouring or overwhelming your subconscious mind with the thoughts and the images and the sounds of what you do want. That's possible. And a lot of my tracks on my YouTube channel do that. I think the most effective way is to find those old traumas that created the limiting beliefs and to heal or neutralize them in your subconscious mind while you simultaneously flood your subconscious mind with what you want. And that it's very similar to a computer. You don't change the behavior of the hardware of the computer, for example, by changing the hardware. You change it by changing the software. It's lines of code, basically, that are in your mind. You have 60,000 thoughts a day. You're aware of 5% of them. What effect did just a few of those thoughts have on your outcome? You know, I'm no good. I'm not worthy. I don't belong here. I'm not lucky. Whatever it is that just keeps getting repeated. And you're so powerful that you can create that on the physical plane. Just like a carpenter can create a house or a barn or a garage or whatever they build out of wood. It's all starts up here. You're the same way. And so realize that there are tools out there that we're talking about, many of which don't cost a thing. And the idea is to reprogram the software through repetition. The whole educational system is based on repetition. You want to learn to do anything? You just keep repeating it until you learn how to ride the bike, until you learn how to tie your shoes, until you learn how to speak another language. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. I see everything as codes. I see it as blueprints. Everything's a blueprint, and then it turns into a code, and then it turns into like geometric patterns and shapes, like a kaleidoscope. And the guides always show me it's like the iPhone, like your apps are open. So you just kind of deleting the apps that you don't want, the outdated apps, and the same, they show me software. You're just updating your software. And it's funny because quite often lately the guides send me it's like these light language, and they're kind of like mudras and things. And they tell me, we're updating your software. So
Hmm.
they'll start doing all these signs with my hands, and I'll start doing a little bit of toning, and they're like, software upgrade available, software upgrade available. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like a computer. Like, but they're like, no, but with love, you are organic as well. Don't worry. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it? So
it
yeah,
is. And
yeah,
I'd also like to say something too
yeah.
that I'm sure you probably have a similar point of view, and that is the emotions. The emotions can be a rocket fuel to propel you towards what you want, or it can be like an anchor burrowed into the sea floor, preventing your ship from sailing when you want to go somewhere. So anger and all, because anger is really just a derivative of fear. All forms of fear, hatred, anger, worry, concern, fear, phobia, all that stuff it's all comes from fear, and that is a blocking energy. And you could be blocked by something like that. Before we went live on this podcast, I was working with a client, and she got to a moment in this situation where she had her grandfather attached to her, and the grandfather was attached to pain, and it had to do with his son, my client's father. And she was stuck in the fear place, but the fear was manifesting as a kind of hatred, a judgment, a refusal to forgive the grandfather for some terrible things that he did. But it was literally what was keeping her blocked. It was keeping her from moving forward. That's how powerful the emotions are. And if you're stuck somewhere, it's probably some kind of manifestation of fear, a fear that if you change, something bad is going to happen, or the other manifestation of fear, which is what I mentioned, like a hatred or a resentment or a feeling that is totally unfair. That can stop us in our tracks. It's like having a parking brake on and you're trying to drive your car across town. So if that's the case, you've got to find some way of letting that go. And the things that we've been talking about today, all the world's a stage, things go around and around and around, that you manifest what you focus on, and perhaps more importantly, you manifest what you feel, means it's actually to your advantage to take off the handcuffs that are connecting you to pain in the personage of some other person, for example. That's valuable. And one of the techniques that I use with people, I used it with her, is to have her ask her guides, who benefits by you being in this state of non-forgiveness? Who doesn't benefit? Who doesn't benefit? Who maybe suffers from this? And how about 30 seconds? Are you willing for 30 seconds to forgive this person with the proviso that you can take it all back 30 seconds later? Everybody says yes. And I know what's going to happen. When they let it go, when they truly let it go, they feel so good. They don't want it back.
Yeah, love that. Emotions are so important. That's something I've been adding a lot to lately, because I would have said, mind, body, soul. But now I'm really big on emotions, because we quite often don't tune into our emotions and how we're feeling. And obviously each emotion is a frequency, it's an energy, it's a vibration. And so whatever resonant frequency you are vibrating at is what you're going to create. So, if you're creating those lower emotions, then that is what your life is going to reflect. Like we are what we vibrate at. We are what frequency we are on. So, if we're vibrating at a frequency of anger, then we're just going to be attracting more and more anger. And so then we're going to be saying, oh, hey, yes, see, everyone's angry at me. I'm angry and they're angry. See. So yeah, it's so important to tune in with yourself. I've found now every night and every morning I tune in, and I'm not just tuning into how my body's feeling, I'm tuning into how my emotions are feeling. And it is so valuable. Sometimes you're just in that survival consciousness where you don't even realize how you're feeling because you just got to keep going.
This thing came up with my wife about a week ago, and I said, wow. She was talking about an improv game, and the idea of this improv game really sparked this idea with me, which is, how cool would it be if you and I, my wife and I, were struggling, we were fighting about something, and I had two chairs near me, and I could say to her, I'm going to choose to sit in the judgment chair right now, the chair where I have to defend myself, where I feel like, I want to be right. Or I can choose to sit in the other chair, which is, I have nothing to defend. I'm just in this loving chair, and I can listen to everything you have to say. And I could imagine that being wildly popular or effective with people in relationship. Because I think that this comes up all the time. I think that there's this fear, like if we made a bad mistake, if we're wrong, then the other person's going to recognize that, think less of us, and maybe leave us or not respect us anymore. And so we get into these, activating each other's ego, and it just builds up and it gets worse and worse and worse. And I just think it'd be kind of cool if you had this whole thing set up where, hey, I'm going to sit in the ego chair. I'm going to sit in the chair about judgment. I'm going to sit in the chair where I'm just going to be defending myself. And you'll know, and I'll know while I'm sitting in that chair, that's how it's going to roll. And then at some point, I'm going to stand up and walk over to the other chair, which is, hey, I don't have to defend myself. It's okay if I'm wrong. It's okay if I'm right. I can just love you over here in this other chair.
I love that. I think people don't realize how exhausting it is as well
Yes. It is. It's horrible.
It drains your energy, and then that's why people are so tired, because they're holding on to so much. They're like, I'm right, you're wrong, or I'm angry, or you're making me sad, or you're making me worried. And the thing is, we're blaming each other. You can't be blaming other people for how you feel, because they're your feelings. No one can make you feel a certain way. Take responsibility, take charge of how you feel. Nobody can make you feel a certain way. So I think once you take charge and responsibility for your own feelings, then it really does give you your power back. And I think often the guides will just show, it should be like a flowing river, that the energy, the emotions, the thoughts, it should be just flowing straight through you. And they're just showing me now the toroidal field. So the toroidal field and the auric field. So it just goes out, it flows out and then comes back around, and it does cleanse. But if you're holding on to it, then you're creating these big river stones, these big blocks. And that's including your blocks, your belief systems, your patterns, the loops. It creates all these heavy river stones, and then it's just dense energy. Then you get the ailments, the injuries, and then the disease. And it's just not worth it. It's just too exhausting. I mean, obviously you're all allowed, everyone's allowed to hold on
Oh,
to,
yeah.
whatever you want to do, it's up to you.
Sure.
I'm too tired.
My guides, that reminds many years ago, my guides told me, this is the language, the exact phrase they said. They said, when we put you in the canoe of life, we gave you a paddle. And I could see the paddle on the gunnel, on the bottom of the canoe between my feet. And they said, it's not our fault that you're not using the paddle. And the metaphor for the paddle was your internal senses, being able to connect with the guides. And it all came together for me immediately, because I thought, okay, so what would happen if you were sitting in a canoe going down a river and you weren't using your paddle, which is a really, really simple technology? Well, sometimes you might be faced the correct direction and due to the current, and maybe it's gentle and flat and you're okay. And other times you'd be spinning in a circle. Other times you get stuck underneath a branch that's hanging near the bank. Other times you'd crash into a rock. Whereas if you use the paddle, you could navigate whatever the river was giving you. And to me, this was like this perfect metaphor for life. Life is designed. It's not a bug that there's conflict. It's not a bug that things are hard sometimes. It's not a bug that we age or that there's sickness. These are features designed to teach us something. And the ability to flow through these things with grace without crashing directly into them, I think does have to do with this inner guidance system. And you correctly pointed it out earlier that we all are imbued with these gifts. And I honestly think a huge part of my job is helping people to understand their innate abilities and almost giving them permission, one human being to another, to use these capabilities without immediately going right to, well, that's not possible. I'm making it up. I'm not a psychic. I'm not a channel. I don't have connect. No, you do. You all do. And this for me, and I'm sorry to belabor the metaphor, but it brings me back to the theater, because everyone who's ever watched a movie, anyone who's ever watched live theater, anyone who's ever read a novel understands innately, even if they don't know the phrase, suspension of disbelief. That's how you enter these states, is you suspend what you have been propagandized, what you've been taught that it's not possible. You suspend it. And you just enter this place that you could call your imagination. That's fine. That's when these things will come to you. And just like watching a movie or a play, you can decide when it's over what it means while you're having coffee with your friends, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you believed, what you didn't believe, what performance was good, what performance was bad. But for goodness sakes, let yourself flow with it in the moment. Let these capabilities that you have come to the surface, because you got them, I promise you.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm kind of hearing that we try too hard as well.
Yeah,
we try too hard to make things happen. We're kind of expecting a lot from ourselves.
yeah.
I mean, what the guides are saying that we're here to support you. You know, you've got that innate wisdom within you. You don't need to overthink it. You don't need to exhaust yourself. You don't need to try too hard. It's almost like we're all trying to go the long route rather than just that kind of, but then a lot of us do love that, because then we feel like we've really made that effort and it's valid and we've achieved it. So I don't know. It's a tough one, but they're just telling me we can just relax more if we want to.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly true. And it also it occurs to me that that's the behavior of children. Yeah. When children are playing, they're not overthinking anything. They're not thinking if they're good or bad. They almost don't, like, they just play. They just allow themselves to play and to create. They're not as worried about the outcome as we are. They haven't taken on the beliefs like money doesn't grow on trees and that's hard work and hard work does this and that. You know, they're not stuck in that paradigm. Or if I don't succeed at this, then I'm not going to get a promotion. And if I don't get a promotion, my wife's going to leave me and we're not going to be able to buy that house in the country and I won't be able to put my kids through school. And then my kids will fail and it'll all be my fault. Like, we're always in this place. No wonder we're holding on so tightly. No wonder we're so pent up. No wonder we keep turning to drugs and alcohol and other distractions to give ourselves a little bit of relief from all that tension. You can't create when you're tense. You can't talk to your guides when you're angry and tense. You know, we are, I think, supposed to be like children in that way.
Yeah, the guides were showing me, yeah, he gets it. That's exactly what they're showing me is play like the kids do. You know, follow what's exciting to you. Is it exciting to play in the sandbox or do the art today? You know, what follow your little pieces of excitement. I was talking the other day to someone about the tiny moments, what, kind of what lights you up. So yeah, I think another thing I'm being shown is we do have so many choices now that it can be a little bit overwhelming. Maybe the 7 TV shows was actually easier than than
Sure
what
it
we've
was
got
in
now.
that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's okay. We still have the option to pick and choose. We can limit ourselves to that overstimulation. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting time.
It is. And then there's also the distinction between the outer world and the inner world.
Mm.
At any time, we have the ability, unless you're driving a car, to go into the inner world by closing your eyes, by going out into nature, by turning off anything that's powered by electricity, and centering yourself, grounding yourself, connecting with your guides. Anyone can do that. And like riding a bike, you may not be able to do it the first time you try it, but everyone can learn how to ride a bike if they persevere, if they just keep going. And if they don't try too hard, like you said before, if they don't judge themselves, they just do it. It'll come. It'll come. And that's where I think, especially I've talked about this before, at a time of AI, I think we're already at the point where we can't really trust our physical senses, that what we're seeing on a screen is actually true. That person actually said those words because AI is so effective at recreating someone's voice or an image. And where's it going to be in a year, in 5 years? I'm saying your organic sense of truth is probably more and more going to be found on the inside. It's not going to be found on the outside, unless you're in nature.
Yeah. So do you have some grounding techniques that you particularly enjoy, or do you just kind of whatever on the day?
Well, I know that the way the human mind works, there's something called an NLP anchor. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. Everybody knows that when you hear a particular song, that you get a certain emotional state that washes over you. That could be happiness, it could be sadness, it could be, longing for a time in the past, but it can create an emotional state in you. Why? Because that song was playing when something important and emotionally deep was happening in your life. You've created an anchor between those two things. And so I know that if you have a practice, let's call it a meditative practice, where the same time every day, you sit in the same place, you sit in the same way, that when your eyes are closed, you go through the same process. Like I go down some stairs and then I sit on a beach in my mind, and then my guides are before me and they're always in the same place. And we go through the same process. It's a way of strengthening the neural pathways in your mind to make it easier for you, despite what may be going on in your life or around you, to have the same kind of healing, powerful experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a ritual. It's like the power of ritual. So that would be the first thing that I would say to people is create a ritual for yourself. And it doesn't have to be perfect every time. You might be traveling or whatever, but if some of those elements are the same, your brain, your mind's going to say, "Oh, we know what we're doing now." And it's going to inform your nervous system. We must be safe right now. And this is one of the things, a therapist said this to me. He said, you have to meet God, you have to get low. You've got to go low to meet God. What does that mean? It means that you're doing something that you're familiar with. Your hands are in the dirt, you're gardening, you're doing carpentry, you're cleaning your house. You're washing your clothes and going through very simple, repetitive tasks. It's telling part of your mind you're safe. Why? Because if you weren't safe, you couldn't be doing something really simple. And this is why after combat, soldiers are doing very simple things, like cleaning their equipment, putting everything back into order. We did the same thing in the fire department. After a big fire, we didn't just go home. We went back to the firehouse and we all ate together. And then we cleaned all of our equipment and we put it back on the truck in an orderly way. It's telling the mind, you're safe now. The chaos is over. These are powerful ways that humanity has known about for a long time to ground yourself.
It's reminding me of that before enlightenment, was it chop wood, carry water? After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It's like,
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. There's so much peace that comes with a familiar rhythm.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that this is a huge part of ritual.
Yeah, definitely. I find it so beneficial actually just to have a few things, a few go-to things, that are away from the social media and everything, and just come back to who you are. I remember saying that to people, even if you're so busy at work, you just get a quick toilet break, even in the toilet, you can
Mhm.
come back to yourself and just be that true you again. Just be aware who you are as that higher consciousness, that greater awareness. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I say take a deep breath, but when you're in the toilet, it's not the best. But anyway, it's like, don't know if you want to breathe in and smell some of those toilets at work, but anyway.
And I will say, to add on to what you're saying, that people who perform for a living, so you could be an actor, you could be a singer, you could be an athlete, it's unthinkable for them to not take time before they perform to ground themselves. And it's generally done in a kind of ritual. This is what they do. These are the steps that they take. And the ones who are the most aware will not just prepare their bodies through ritual, they will also prepare their mind. They'll close their eyes and they'll imagine what they're about to do. And what I like to do in those cases is imagine the end. It's the end. The performance is over. Everybody's clapping. Everybody's got smiles on their faces. Everyone's happy. And then work my way from the end back to the beginning, because now the mind knows how to make these things happen. It knows how to make the end result occur. And then I'll go from the beginning back to the end. And so what I'm doing is I'm mentally rehearsing. I'm telling my mind how I want this to go, so that when I get out there in 45 minutes or an hour, I've already been there. I've already done that. And then I add in to my guides, allow me to be an instrument of God's divine will for the highest and best interests of everyone, cast, crew, audience, who comes into contact with this. Let me be an instrument, because it's helping me to remind me, it doesn't have to all be on my shoulders. I can let a higher divine power flow through me. I can be the channel of this. I don't even have to know exactly how this is going to happen. And we were talking before we went live about the magic of just letting these conversations unfold without them having to be, bullet point, we're going to cover these things.
Yeah, definitely. I love how you were saying you kind of go backwards. You look at it as the end, and that I've been listening to a lot of Neville Goddard about, he was like he is way before his time, but just saying that you kind of like visualize it as if it's already happened, like it already happened 2 weeks ago, 5 months ago, years ago. That thing you want already happened. So it's already your frequency. You are already the thing that you want. And so that's quite similar to you kind of started at the end.
It is exactly. Yeah. And the other thing that that this is sparking in my mind that I'd like the people who are watching this to be aware of is you can listen to subliminal tracks while you're doing something else. I do this for myself. So when I'm on my computer and I'm just doing various kinds of administrative work, let's say, I will be playing one of my subliminal tracks in the background. Now, subliminal just means below the level of your conscious awareness. So I create tracks for all kinds of different issues, and all the person is hearing is the sound of rain, or the sound of the ocean, or the sound of music, or a crackling fireplace, or something like that. And it's masking the words that are underneath it. So your conscious mind can't really hear those words. but your subconscious mind can. And in this way, you can flood your subconscious mind with the thoughts and the words and the concepts that are going to create images in the back of your mind, let's say, and feelings inside of your body of the outcome that you want without having to consciously focus on it. You can do it while you're sleeping. This, to me, is an absolute remarkable use of the technology we have available to us now. You know, in Neville Goddard's day, I'm not even sure that they had, magnetic tape recording machines. Or if they had the ability to use something like that to create a subaudible track. But we have it now. And it can be really, really powerful for anyone out there that wants a change. They want to lose weight. They want a better relationship. They want to have more money. They want to be less anxious. They want to be able to sleep better. All of these things, you can find subliminal, subaudible tracks that you can just play in the background, even while you're sleeping, and just let it go. Let it go day after day after day, week after week after week, and watch what happens in your life. It doesn't even make sense to our material oriented being that suddenly these things just start coming out of the woodwork, seemingly without any effort. But this is the power of energy, the power of your subconscious mind, the power of the universe at work.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for explaining that, because I have brought before I've brought some subliminal digital downloads, and I was thinking, I can't really hear the words properly. I can hear it slightly. Why can't I hear the words properly? It's obviously meant to be like that, because we're multidimensional. So of course we can, do a few things at once.
Well, yeah, and your conscious mind, it's estimated, can process 16 bits of data per second. Your subconscious mind can process a million bits of data per second. When you walk into a room, you are processing all kinds of things that will never come to your conscious awareness. The smells, the micro expressions on people's faces, your body temperature, colors, other things, literally millions of bits of data you're processing from inside your body and from outside. But if you tried to do that consciously, you would become autistic. You couldn't do it. You literally would get overloaded. And so the system is designed so that consciously you're just focusing on what you have to focus on. And the subconscious is handling everything else. So much about this is programming your subconscious mind. So much of manifesting is programming that part of you. That's the powerhouse.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, this is just, it's been so helpful. I love it. So you've obviously got, your YouTube channel, which I would encourage everyone to check out. There's some great things on there. And also you've got your website. So that's, was that Blue Sky?
They're easy to remember because they're both Blue Sky Hypnosis. One's blueskyhypnosis.com and the other one is Blue Sky Hypnosis on YouTube.
Cool. And then you've got Instagram.
Oh yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. Awesome. Amazing. So I appreciate you so much coming on, because I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot for sure as well. So, and it's just nice to talk to somebody that understands, and like our community. There's more and more at the moment too, more and more people just that are interested. So it's exciting.
It certainly is. And thanks so much for the invitation and for the conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. We'll keep in touch.
Okay.
Thank you.